Let's talk about shish kebab. Welcome back to Sprung On Food. I'm your host, Kae Sprung. This season, we're talking about favorite foods, the history behind it, and the role it plays in the world today. Joining me today is actor, writer, and improviser Suzi Barrett. Suzi, welcome.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
I'm very excited that you are here. Your favorite food, shish kebab. I got to know all about it. Why is this your favorite food? Tell me all the things.
Favorite food is a tough question. Anything that's like a superlative, like what's your most, or what's your best, or what's your favorite. I picked this because it encompasses my favorite thing, which is just grilling food, grilling meats and grilling vegetables. And this is a way to get all of that in one dinner. I frequently make skewered meat and veg for dinner guests. It's like one of the easiest, best encompassing summer meals. If someone's a vegetarian, they can choose only the veggie skewers. People can kind of build their own plates. They can pick their favorites. And it's something that's great with like a variety of sauces on the table. So it to me, it signifies it's summer. We're outside. We're enjoying a social time. I'm having people over. I'm hosting. So it's just such an association that I have with kind of all of those great things. And it's so easy. It's so easy to do.
Yeah. And especially if you're entertaining, ease is the name of the game. You're running around in a million different directions. You don't want to be, hovering over a stove for the whole time. What is a typical maybe setup like for you when you are doing this kebab grilling for your guests? What is there a different assortment of meats, a go-to assortment of veggies? What are the sauces looking like?
I'll walk you through it.
Yes.
I usually separate the meat and the veg, as I said, help accommodate for vegetarians, but also allows marinating and different flavor profiles for the meat and the veg, and also like different cooking times. Like I used to do kind of the traditional, or at least traditional when I grew up in the 80s was like alternating, like a cube of steak, an onion, a pepper, steak, onion, pepper. And then as an adult, I was like, the onions burn and the steak isn't cooked yet. And, so I like to divide by category. Maybe I'm a little type A about my shish kebab. But
no, I think you're actually giving the people the best possible presentation of it.
There we go. Thank you so much for validating my
You got to get that best
OCD.
user experience. And you're like, listen, I'm a pro. I know what I'm doing. And this is how it's going down. So I think everybody can appreciate it. Yeah.
Step in line, people.
Yeah, watch out.
So I usually divide by food categories. I'll do sometimes pineapple, sometimes sweet beanie.
Ooh, sweet potato. That's a fun one that maybe that's a first for me to see. What was there an inspiration for that? You just love sweet potato? Is that common and I just don't know about it?
I don't know if it's common, but years ago I started getting into Jamie Oliver, who, he's a chef and cookbook author who they call him the naked chef because his whole philosophy is like just cook with like 2 or 3 ingredients and let the food be the flavors. So it really taught me how to cook just knowing certain flavors that go together. And in one of his cookbooks, he has a grilled sweet potato recipe that he does squeeze of lime and ground cumin and red pepper flakes. Boy, is it good.
That sounds amazing.
But that's what got me started on grilling sweet potatoes. He does it in foil on the grill, but then I was like, oh, if I'm grilling it that way, I can do it in a shish.
Hell yeah.
And then usually I'll have either like, just chicken, or I'll do some chickens and some steak skewers. And if I do that, then I usually marinate them in different marinades because red meat flavors love a soy ginger, teriyaki flavor, and white meats love a lemon garlic, lemon zest, usually herbs from the garden. We're getting fancy here.
Listen,
how deep do you want to go into?
I appreciate the detail and the thought and intention that goes behind, like party at Suzi's. Cause like you're like, I'm not just getting meat and put it on the grill. Like there is intention, there is thought behind this from just even the different variations of marinade and meats. This is good.
This is good. Great. And then the sauces, usually I'll throw a hummus on the table. I'm not making my own hummus. I
It's
can
okay.
just grab that from the store.
Yes.
But the ones that I make on my own, I do a tahini sauce that's super
Mm.
easy to make. That's just like, a couple scoops of tahini with cold water, fresh crushed garlic, lemon juice, and salt. I usually do a sour cream and dill sauce. So,
Ooh.
sour cream, fresh dill, tons of fresh dill. You can't have too much. And then salt and red wine vinegar. And yeah, those are the main ones I usually do.
When it comes to these parties and get-togethers, is this something that you've always done? Love of entertaining? Is this something kind of from childhood that you've brought through with grilling and everything? Where did this kind of start
I
to
think, yeah,
spark
the
up in your life?
entertaining and hosting has been a joy of my adult life. I think I had a realization kind of as soon as I was living on my own and started enjoying holidays. I was like, oh, the reason is you can just choose who you invite over and have like a relaxed time. That was a new experience
Mm.
for me. I grew up in a very kind of like, a dysfunctional family with kind of forced holidays, and you're dressing up and going to church and it's just not fun. And as an adult, I've just really come to love and embrace having people over for dinner, and what a lovely time that is. So yeah, I have the grilling. I don't know how the grilling started. I bought like a little charcoal grill that I had on my balcony at my apartment, and I just kind of like dove in and started messing with it and getting a feel for it. Charcoal is hard because it's different every time. The coals heat differently, and it took a lot of trial and error, but worth it. And with a grill now, it's so easy. You can control the heat, and not to get too dad about it. I feel like you got to learn where your hot spots are, and
It like when you started talking about like charcoal, I was thinking about like, okay, charcoal like versus propane. And then my mind went to, I don't know if you've ever watched the show King of the Hill, and he would go on for days and days and days about how propane was so much better, like kick rocks, charcoal. And so I was like, okay,
yeah,
okay. So maybe he's onto
yeah, or maybe
something, Hank
I've just
Hill.
become
Okay.
a Mike Judge character and I am a dad with an apron on, and that's my destiny. We'll never know.
Listen, sounds kind of fun.
um,
Yeah. I think either way, you're
Great.
gonna be just
Good.
fine.
That's good news for me.
You're kind of nailing it. And of course, to better understand and appreciate our food, we've got to know where it came from.
Teach me.
Skewered meat, fire, a hint of smoke, a dash of spice, we're tapping into the history of shish kebabs, a dish that's conquered empires, crossed continents, and made backyard grill masters feel like ancient warriors. Let's start with the basics. The word shish and kebab in Turkish stands for, Susie, do you want to venture a guess of what they mean?
Skewer and flesh.
Okay, somebody has all their history in place. So shish means skewer and kebab means grilled or roasted meat. So shish kebab literally translates to skewer of roasted meat. Pretty straightforward, right? But like all deceptively simple things, their roots run deep. The idea of cooking meat over fire on a stick goes back to prehistoric times. We're talking Paleolithic humans hunched over open flames, turning chunks of meat on sharpened twigs. Archaeological digs in places like Greece have uncovered fire pits and stone supports used for skewers, dating back to at least 1700 BCE during the Minoan period on the island of Santorini. And this might sound familiar if you've listened to the History of Euros episode of Sprung On Food, and if you haven't, you can check it out on YouTube or available wherever you get your podcasts. But if we're going to talk about shish kebab in its most recognizable form as a dish and cultural symbol, we've got to look east. The earliest written reference to something resembling kebabs comes from 10th century Arabic texts, like Kitab al-Tobith, the Book of Dishes, which mention meat being cut into chunks and grilled over fire. But it's medieval Persia, modern-day Iran, where the kebab culture really takes root. Persian poetry from the 12th and 13th centuries references skewered meat, often shared communally and enjoyed outdoors. Susie, our story is starting with prehistoric roots, where I'm assuming there wasn't at that time a ton of food innovation because it was pretty much whatever you could hunt or gather. If you were stranded on an island, how do you think you would do?
Pretty poorly. Uh,
Oh,
I would like to think that I would do well because I love camping, love being, I don't know, scrappy and solving puzzles and things like that. But the reality, like if we're really talking, like I'm stranded and I have to start distilling water somehow, like or digging for a well. The reality of that is pretty tough to wrap my head around. Building a shelter. I mean, what do I have? Do I have a machete with me? How equipped am I?
okay. Excellent clarifying question. Let's pick three things that you're allowed to have,
Great.
and you can choose what they are.
A machete,
Okay.
a tarp,
Mm-hmm.
and flint to start fire.
Okay, excellent. So
Yeah.
with these three things in place, now does that change the game for you?
I think I would still do pretty poorly.
You're like, now I just have three things and I'm still hungry and thirsty.
Yeah. Even I'm a huge Survivor fan, and even watching that
Oh,
show, I'm
really?
like, oh damn, even with a team, I would just the reality of it, like getting just annihilated by sand fleas and finding massive snakes invading camp. And I just think it would just be a tough, and it's tough to build a shelter. It's like, it's hard on that show, even with like 8 or 10 people, it would be hard by myself. But I would be up for the challenge. If a plane went down and I am my own lost, I would embrace it and use what I know from years of watching scripted and unscripted television to give it a go.
Listen, I mean that's a good, amount of education to start with, and then it's, all up to the gods at that point.
Hmm.
But okay, so in the meantime, we'll maybe just stick to the shows, and then thank goodness for modern innovations to where we don't have to do any of that.
Perfect.
Well, fast forward to the rise of the Seljuk and later the Ottoman Empire, and kebabs become a staple of both military life and palace cuisine. According to some culinary historians, Turkish soldiers would skewer hunks of lamb on their swords and grill them over open flames while traveling, which was a practical solution for those hungry horsemen. It's arguably where the iconic shish part comes from. In Ottoman Turkey, kebabs evolved into a more refined culinary tradition. The wealthy elite dined on marinated lamb, grilled with spices like sumac and cumin, often served with rice, yogurt, and flatbread. The Ottomans had entire culinary guilds dedicated to perfecting these dishes, and by the 16th century, kebabs were much more about technique and ritual as they were about just being food. Shout out to the Ottoman Food Club. Now, don't be fooled. Shish kebab is just one member of a massive extended family. Across the Middle East, Central Asia, the Balkans, and South Asia, you'll find countless regional twists. Iran gives us chellow kebab, often skewered minced lamb or beef served with saffron rice and grilled tomatoes. India and Pakistan have sikh kebabs, which are minced meat mixed with herbs and spices grilled on skewers and tandoors. In Greece, there's souvlaki, skewered pork or chicken, often served in pita and tzatziki. The Caucasus region, particularly Armenia and Georgia, has its own style of shashlik, marinated in vinegar and herbs. In Lebanon and Syria, you'll find shish tawak, cubes of chicken marinated in yogurt, lemon juice, and garlic. Each version reflects local cooking techniques, tastes, available spices, and regional dietary laws. No pork in Muslim countries, of course, so beef or lamb is preferred. Even within Turkey, the word kebab is an umbrella term encompassing dozens of styles, including Adana kebab, spicy minced meat, Urfa kebab, a less spicy cousin, and Iskender kebab, which is sliced doner over pita drenched in tomato sauce and butter, not skewered, but still relevant to the kebab story. Suzi, we've got our different variations. If you're putting your ideal spin on it, maybe this is at one of your gatherings,
Mhm.
when it comes to marinades, spices, maybe if there's a sauce and what it's served with, what is your ideal composition?
I'm definitely pulling herbs out of my garden. So right now that's rosemary. I had oregano flourishing in there. So oregano was a great one to add. If I'm not short on time, I'm throwing all my herbs mortar and pestle and grounding them up to kind of mash some more flavor. I'm doing olive oil. I'm doing crushed garlic and usually a lemon juice, lemon zest. I learned from an NPR food show that you're not supposed to marinate meat that you're going to grill in lemon juice, but I disagree with that. I've tried it both ways, and apparently it dries it out, but I think if you only do like a shorter marinade, it doesn't matter. But
Have you like DM'd and been like, listen, I did it. It actually works. You
listen,
need to
Evan.
like retract that. Yeah.
I think I cook everything wrong, but it's just my way is just like the path of least resistance. Like I'm just going for like the shortest shortcut.
I mean, what I think is really fun and whimsical about cooking versus, let's say, baking, I've made this analogy lots of times, is that cooking is like jazz. There are no, maybe there are some like fundamental rules, like you gotta use heat or something. I don't know. But everything else is kind of, I mean, listen, it's like improv. You can kind of make it up as you go along. You work with what you have, you adapt, you change.
Yeah.
Whereas baking is much more of like science and chemistry. So that's much more strict. But I don't know. I think maybe they set the parameters for maybe people who are not as whimsical, but I think if you've tried something and it works for you, keep on doing it.
Totally. Yeah. I'll give you a little hack too that I use
Mm.
here. Do you know the herb society garlic? Have you heard of this?
Ooh, no.
If you Google
Tell
image
me.
it, you'll see it and you might recognize it around town. Like in urban areas, it thrives in California, but it's a plant that has all these tiny little light purple flowers, and the flowers are edible and they taste like a light, mild garlic flavor, but it doesn't make your breath crazy. So what I do, I have those
Ooh.
growing all over my yard. And once the stuff comes off the grill, I add a squeeze of lemon at the end to finish it. And I add a handful of those little flowers. It's gorgeous. And then each bite has like a new little herb pop to it. So that, that's a little bit of fun and whimsy for you.
Listen, the attention to detail, I'm telling you, this is so, and that little pop of color
It's
and
awesome. Yeah.
the flat. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is picture perfect. If at any time in the future you do this, please send a pic. I would love to see it.
Oh, totally. Yeah, of course.
So how did this ancient practice of cooking meats on sticks end up next to the potato salad at your cousin's 4th of July barbecue? In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, waves of immigrants from the Ottoman Empire and surrounding regions arrived in the US. This included Armenians, Greeks, Lebanese, Syrians, and Turks, many of whom were fleeing war, religious persecution, or economic hardship. As they settled in cities like New York, Boston, Chicago, Detroit, and Los Angeles, they brought traditions and recipes tucked into their collective memory like heirlooms. Among those dishes, skewered meats, marinated, grilled, and served with rice or flatbread, and often adapted to local ingredients and constraints. At first, these kebabs were made at home, shared during religious or family celebrations, but as these communities grew and opened restaurants and food stalls, particularly in ethnic neighborhoods and near factories or ports, kebabs began to enter the public dining scene. One of the earliest documented examples of Middle Eastern cuisine reaching American palates was through Syrian and Lebanese restaurants in cities like Boston and New York around the 1910s and 1920s. Menus from that era featured items like lamb kebab, pilaf, and hummus, often marketed as Near Eastern fare, exotic but approachable. By the 1930s, Greek diners began serving Souvlaki-style skewers, particularly in Chicago and Detroit, where large Greek populations worked in the growing industrial sectors. For instance, the Coney Island restaurants of Detroit, many operated by Greek immigrants, became popular for quick, affordable grilled meats, including skewers, even if they weren't explicitly always called shish kebab on the menu yet. Suzi, when it comes to curiosity of food, or maybe just things, new things in general, what is your typical approach? Do you jump right in? Do you kind of proceed with caution? Do you avoid?
I have maximum curiosity, and it's like one of my not just like defining traits, but like a core value of mine is to be curious and be actively curious and stay curious and try. However, I do have it's like curiosity with some boundaries, like
Sure.
adrenaline sports like skydiving, I just know are not for me. I'm never going to bungee jump, and I'm okay
Same,
with
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yes,
And I
yes.
have like some food boundaries, like runny egg makes me just queasy. So I'm never going to Anthony Bourdain, like a raw quail egg into my mouth or something. So
Yes.
yeah, curious with some firmly placed boundaries.
I like that. I think that's a really healthy approach, just to be open to all the things, but also know like this is like a non-negotiable. We're not doing this, but like anything else, like entice me and let's see. So yeah, I think that's the right way to do it.
Yeah. Also, I have to say, like, you just described my childhood. I grew up in a Detroit suburb. So, like,
Is that right?
yeah, I grew
Okay.
up in Greek Coney restaurants, and my mouth is watering with you describing all that. I can like smell how they smell.
Yeah. Oh, so that's excellent that you have that point of reference. And now here's that little added layer of the historical background of how they came to be. And cool to know too that they're definitely still around. Do you get to go back and visit, or do you frequent any of them if you do?
Not really. I don't have family there anymore, so my visits are few and far between. But
Hmm.
yeah, when I'm there, I'm hitting a place. I was just in
Yeah.
yeah, I was home last summer for my theater teacher's retirement, and the first
Aw.
restaurant we went to was a Coney place called La Puma's. Shout out.
Shout out to La Pumas.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So this is great. Sometimes you never know if throughout any of these little points anybody has any kind of connection. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But that's cool that that was a little relevant piece there that kind of sparked a background memory of
That's
yours.
right.
Well, what's interesting is how the term shish kebab became the catch-all for various grilled meat dishes, even those not traditionally called that by the communities making them. Shish kebab was the most phonetically accessible and visually descriptive name. Immigrants and restaurateurs adapted the terminology to suit American diners, often listing shish kebab on menus as a way to signal grilled meat without requiring diners to decipher regional names like shashlik, souvlaki, or lachami shway. Okay, so we've got our kebab name, shish kebab, so ingrained at this point. But if all of a sudden this name no longer existed, what name would you give to the formerly known as shish kebab?
Probably dinner sticks.
Hell
Y'all
yeah,
want
dinner
some dinner
sticks.
sticks?
Listen, this is great. That also could work as like a dog treat, perhaps.
Totally.
I'm not sure, but like dinner sticks, I'm into it.
Yeah, we love a dinner
That's
stick.
fun. Yes. I can see like all of the commercials right now, just like lots of kids gathered around a table. Somebody's offering up, like, hey, kids who want some dinner sticks. The crowd goes wild.
It writes
I think you're,
itself. I think you got $1 million
listen,
idea there.
okay, it happened here. Somebody in an agency, get on it. It's going to be big. Obviously, you get, let's say 80%. I'll get 20% just because it happened here. Virtual
Sure,
handshake.
sure.
Okay,
Yep, yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah, yep.
Well, popularity of shish kebab spread more post World War II when backyard grilling became a national pastime in the US. Skewers and kebabs were exotic enough to seem adventurous, but easy enough for the average Joe to slap together. The phrase shish kebab became popular in the US by the 1950s, often associated with cookbooks and suburban grilling manuals. Metal skewers, hunks of marinated beef, bell peppers, onions, all stacked like culinary Jenga towers and tossed on the grill. Never mind that the original versions from Turkey, Iran, and Lebanon would never mix meat and vegetables on the same skewer. In America, it was all about visual appeal and ease of grilling. One skewer to rule them all. By the time James Beard was writing about it in his book, Complete Book of Outdoor Cookery in 1954, shish kebab had fully entered the American mainstream. So yes, there's something undeniably charming and slightly funny about how a centuries-old Turkish dish made its way into the hearts, mouths, and dictionaries of Americans through cookbooks, charcoal grills, and backyard barbecues. It's a perfect example of culinary globalization, from Ottoman sword to suburban skewer. Today, shish kebab spans the spectrum from $2 skewers at a late-night halal cart to high-end plates at Mediterranean restaurants garnished with microgreens and pomegranate molasses. Suzi, kebabs can span, as we've seen, from simple and cheap to complex and expensive. As a talented improviser and also a teacher, what advice or tips would you give to someone to be able to take their improv skills and performance from maybe simple and safe to elevated and exciting?
Time and practice. As with any skill, the more you do it and the more comfortable you become with like the rules and the simple, the more you start being more adventurous and finding your own voice and coming into new areas that you didn't even know you had to explore. So yeah, keep doing it. And the slightest new little spins that you start putting on something will nudge it ever gradually towards what will eventually become your big swings and personal voice. Just like with cooking style, with jazz, so too with improv. And that in itself, that practice of tuning in and being really present and not getting distracted by your own thoughts or self-consciousness or whatever, but really connecting to another human being, that in itself as a practice is completely invaluable. Even if you only do it for 1 hour once a month or something, the actual doing of it is, similar to like forest bathing or putting your hands in dirt. It's like this.
What is forest bathing?
Oh, forest bathing is an Asian pastime or practice. It's a meditative practice of going into the middle of a forest and receiving the energy from the trees and the oxygen content. And yeah. But this similarly, I feel like taps you into something essential that is fading from our society, which is connectivity person to person in the moment. So whether you see that as like a spiritual necessity or just something ancient that's hardwired into us, just doing that is a gift to your own psyche and your own presence in life.
Yeah. Oh, I love that because this is very intertwined into everything we're talking about, tapping into understanding and communicating with other people, being present, the cooking, the communal aspect of that,
Yeah.
shish kebabs. It's just turning into a full circle moment.
There we go. And shish kebabs being cooked over a fire. And what better sense of community than to gather around a campfire and tell stories and
listen.
I mean,
yes. Okay. Little did we know we would circle back to our shish kebabs here, but here we are.
Here we found ourselves.
Well, the popularity of Turkish cuisine worldwide, boosted by TV chefs, Turkish tourism, and the global expansion of Middle Eastern food, has brought new attention to authentic versions of shish kebab. And let's not forget the massive global appetite for doner, shawarma, and gyros, which all stem from the same fire and meat tradition with just a vertical twist. You'll find kebabs and food trucks in Brooklyn, beachside grills in Istanbul, Michelin-starred menus in London, fusion kitchens in Seoul and Tokyo with everything from Wagyu skewers to vegan seitan kebabs. And on social media, #kebab is everywhere. So the next time you're flipping a kebab on the grill, remember, you're not just cooking dinner. You're participating in a tradition that dates back thousands of years across empires and continents, from the blade of soldiers' swords to the skewer in your backyard. Whether it's lamb in Istanbul, chicken in Beirut, beef in Brooklyn, or tofu in Portland, shish kebab reminds us that at the heart of every culture is a fire, a story, and maybe something sizzling on a stick. Suzi, what do you think about the backstory of shish kebab?
It's so cool. I love the evocative imagery of picturing meat on a soldier's sword over a fire.
Right?
It's there's something so romantic about how this has evolved through so many different landscapes and stories. And yeah, I love it. And truly my favorite context for making shish kebab is while camping. I love cooking. I love skewering meat and skewering veg and just throwing it right on the fire. It feels primitive. And as you were saying all of that stuff, I was like, oh yeah, those are the roots of this. That's where the connection is. Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels right. This is how it was done in ancient time, prehistoric times, and then just something in your soul is like, yes,
right.
This makes sense. This connects. Yeah, I do find it fascinating that there are some dishes and foods that really have not. I mean, of course, now you've got fancy marinades and going against the grain and putting lemon in them and all those things, but things haven't deviated that much because that concept of doing it has been around ever since people figured out to acquire meat from hunting.
Right.
And figured out also, I mean, I'm very curious. Unfortunately, I don't have anybody I can interview who was alive back in prehistoric times to ask them how they figured this out. But just even to figure out, okay, so there's this animal over there, pretty hungry. I think I'm going to do something to it. And I think I'm going to cut it up. And okay, now I'm going to make a fire. Like, so the process now seems, oh yeah, of course. But at the time, going back to our, deserted island situation, I'm like, but how are you
I
doing
feel
this?
like
How are
it
you figuring
probably
out?
happened by accident the first time. Like
Right.
lightning struck the tree next to where the meat
Mm,
was and cooked it. And they were like, this is not only lasted longer. I don't know. That's my
yes.
guess, but who knows?
It seems logical,
Yeah.
like much more concrete than me just wondering how the hell it even happened. But this,
They were
yes,
walking
but
through the
it's
desert and they found a
set the
cookbook
scene.
and they translated the
Mm,
cookbook. Um,
yes, totally. Yeah,
yeah.
you are correct. I think that a lot of times dishes and practices all kind of stem from an accident or something going awry. There are plenty of episodes that I've done that just always bewilder me, but then it makes sense. It's like, oh, this was created because somebody left this out and then it happened and then they
Mhm.
had the balls to try it, didn't die, and then people are like, oh, this is actually pretty good. Let's keep making this. So this is how it happens.
Mm.
Well, shish kebab has definitely made its way into some pop culture moments. In 1962, Warner Brothers released a Looney Tunes cartoon titled Shish Kebugs, starring Bugs Bunny and Yosemite Sam. The title is a pun on shish kebab, and the episode features a royal chef scenario tied to grilling and meat culture. In Adana, Turkey, the Adana Kebab and Shalgam Festival is held annually on the second Saturday of December, featuring street-side kebab and liver vendors, live music, dance, and massive communal feasts into the dawn. And we've got some record-breaking action. In Antalya, Turkey, in August 2018, a 44-year-old toothless man, apparently that's an important detail here, set a local contest record by eating shish kebabs in 44 minutes. Susie, can you venture a guess of how many kebabs our toothless friend was able to eat in 44 minutes?
He's toothless. And did it say
Yeah,
his age?
44.
He's 44 and he's toothless. And it was also in 44
In
minutes.
44 minutes, it was meant to be, yes.
Well, because we have two 44s, I'm going to guess that he ate 44 kebabs. I'm going to guess one per minute.
I like that line of logic. I might just blow your mind here in letting you know that he actually ate 301.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Go to a doctor.
He was hungry, and apparently the teeth, not having the teeth, did not hold him back. Yes. In April 2022, the NIMS International School of Hotel Management in Jaipur, India, cooked a vegetarian kebab and entered it into the Limca Book of Records, which is kind of like the Indian Guinness World Book of Records. Okay, our next guessing round.
Great.
Can you guess how long this kebab was?
Great. 500 meters.
Okay, wonderful. I like your enthusiasm, but it was 15 meters or 49 feet, which is pretty big skewer
compared to my guess. I am not impressed.
And World Kebab Day is observed on the second Friday in July. Susie, are there any other pop culture moments you can think of where shish kebab make their mark, or any final words that you have about your favorite food?
My parting words are I've had friends comment that they want to get into grilling, but they're intimidated by it. Don't be intimidated. If you can get a grill, get one. They're designed to be idiot proof. Like every idiot in America is grilling every weekend. Like you'll be safe. It'll be okay if that's what's stopping you from doing it. But they're a great way to enjoy meat and vegetables. And just get out there and start playing around.
Hell yeah. I like the confidence boost and something for people to look forward to. And at the end of the day, you're feeding yourself. So this is a pretty useful activity.
That's right.
Susie, thank you so much for joining me to talk about shish kebabs and helping me to tell their story.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching. You can find links and more info in the description below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. See you next time.